Commander Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of the transport vessel, watching as Nexus 7 slowly materialized from the star-speckled void. The space station was unlike anything humanity had built, a massive crystalline structure that seemed to pulse with its own inner light, its geometric patterns defying conventional engineering. Her new posting and her new commanding officer awaited within. Quite a sight, isn't it? The transport's pilot, a grizzled veteran named Rodriguez, appeared beside her. First time seeing a Meridian-class station. Sarah nodded, maintaining her professional composure despite the wonder churning in her gut. First time seeing anything Arcturian built up close. The vids don't do it justice. Wait until you meet Admiral Kvex. Rodriguez chuckled, though there was an edge to his voice. The station's not the only thing that defies expectations. Sarah had heard the rumors, of course. Admiral Kvex was notorious throughout the United Earth Fleet for being the first alien commander to have humans serving directly under them. The reports varied wildly. Some called Kvex a tactical genius, others a tyrannical experimentalist using humans as lab rats. The truth, Sarah suspected, lay somewhere in between. The docking procedure was seamless, Arcturian technology guiding their vessel into place with impossible precision. Sarah gathered her minimal belongings. Regulations allowed for little personal cargo, and made her way to the airlock. Her heart pounded against her ribs, though years of military training kept her exterior calm. The moment she stepped onto Nexus 7, she felt the difference. The air carried a slight metallic tang, and the gravity felt just slightly off, as if the entire station was gently pushing her upward. The corridors were a blend of flowing crystal and pulsing energy conduits, nothing like the utilitarian designs of human stations. A young lieutenant with 3 arms, a Triaxian, Sarah recognized, waited at attention. Commander Chen, welcome to Nexus 7. Admiral Kvex is expecting you in the command center. Sarah followed her guide through the twisting corridors, noting how human and alien crew members moved with practiced efficiency around each other. The integration was impressive, though she caught more than a few curious glances her way. New human officers were still a rarity here. The command center doors parted silently, revealing a vast chamber that seemed to float in space itself. The outer walls were completely transparent, offering a panoramic view of the surrounding cosmos. But it was the figure at the center that commanded Sarah's attention. Admiral Kvex stood easily 8 feet tall, their crystalline body structure catching and refracting the starlight. Unlike other Arcturians Sarah had seen in briefings, Kvex's form seemed to shift and flow, never quite settling into a single shape. Multiple limbs of pure energy extended from their core, manipulating holographic displays with stunning precision. Commander Sarah Chen. Kvex's voice resonated directly in her mind, a common trait among their species. Your record is interesting. Top of your class at the Academy, decorated service during the Proxima crisis. And yet, a tendril of energy waved, bringing up Sarah's personnel file. You requested this posting. Knowing full well my reputation, Sarah stood at attention, meeting what she assumed was Kvex's gaze. Yes, Admiral. I believe the future lies in human-alien cooperation. This station represents the cutting edge of that future. Pretty words. Kvex's mental voice carried a note of amusement. But I wonder if you truly understand what you're volunteering for. Humans are fragile. Your bodies break easily. Your minds are chaos given form. And yet, the Admiral's form shifted, crystalline surfaces catching the light. You persist. You adapt. You overcome limitations that should, by all logical analysis, crush you. Sarah felt a pressure in her mind, gentle but insistent. Kvex was scanning her, she realized, another Arcturian ability that humans were still trying to understand. Your species fascinates me, Commander Chen. But fascination is not the same as trust or respect. Those must be earned. Kvex gestured, and a series of holographic displays sprang to life around them. You will serve as my executive officer. Every decision you make, every order you give, will reflect not just on you, but on humanity's potential. Are you prepared for that responsibility? I am. Admiral. Sarah's voice remained steady, even as she felt the weight of Kivex's scrutiny. We shall see. Kivex's form pulsed with internal light. Report to medical for baseline scans, then to your quarters. Your first shift begins in 6 hours. I suggest you use that time to study the station's protocols. They are significantly different from what you're accustomed to. As Sarah turned to leave, Kivex added, "Oh, and Commander, the last 3 human officers assigned to this post requested transfers within a week. I look forward to seeing if you prove more resilient." Walking through the crystalline corridors toward medical, Sarah felt the enormity of her challenge settling onto her shoulders. She had wanted to be at the forefront of human-alien cooperation, to prove that humanity deserved its place among the stars. Now she had her chance, serving under a commander who seemed equally capable of elevating humanity or proving its inadequacy. She smiled slightly. Kivex wasn't the only one who could play at testing boundaries. It was time to show the Admiral exactly what human resilience looked like. Sarah's first month aboard Nexus 7 redefined her understanding of the word demanding. Admiral Kivex's command style was unlike anything taught at the Academy, blending military precision with what seemed like calculated chaos. 3 simultaneous crises. Commander Chen. Kivex's mental voice resonated through the command center. Plasma leak in engineering, unauthorized shuttle approaching from Vector 7, and a potential hull breach in the civilian sector. Your response. Sarah's hands flew over the holographic controls, her mind racing. This was the 4th crisis simulation this shift, each more complex than the last. She quickly learned that Kivex didn't believe in simple training exercises. Priority to civilian safety, Sarah responded, already dispatching emergency teams. Seal off affected hull sections, begin evacuation protocols. Engineering Team Alpha to contain the plasma leak. Their closest and best equipped. Security teams to intercept the shuttle. But she paused, spotting a pattern in the data. Wait. The shuttle's trajectory matches our supply chain routes. Requesting ID verification. Kivex's crystalline form shifted, a gesture Sarah had come to recognize as approval. Most would have immediately treated the shuttle as hostile. You saw the broader context. Acceptable. The simulation dissolved, though your response time was 2.3 seconds slower than optimal. With respect, Admiral, I disagree. Sarah stood her ground, something she'd learned to do carefully but firmly. A rushed response could have missed the shuttle's identification pattern. Sometimes slower is safer. Safety. Kivex's mental tone carried a hint of derision, a very human concern. The universe is not safe, Commander Chen. It is vast, uncaring, and filled with species who would view your caution as weakness. Then they'd be underestimating us, Sarah replied, like the Proximan raiders did. The temperature in the command center seemed to drop several degrees. The Proxima crisis was still a sensitive topic, humanity's first major interstellar conflict, where a technologically superior force had learned the hard way about human tenacity. Before Kivex could respond, a real alarm blared through the station. Multiple system failures in Research Lab Delta, a Triaxian officer reported. Power fluctuations, containment warnings. Sir, they were working on quantum fold technology. Sarah felt her blood run cold. Quantum fold experiments gone wrong could tear holes in spacetime itself. She turned to Kivex, expecting immediate orders, but the Admiral remained eerily still. Well, Commander, Kivex's mental voice was calm. You believe in careful responses. Show me. Sarah realized this wasn't another test. This was Kivex giving her real command authority in a crisis. She took a deep breath and began issuing orders. Engineering teams to reinforce containment fields. Begin emergency shutdown procedures for all quantum fold equipment. Security. Evacuate all non-essential personnel from that sector. She pulled up the lab schematics. Admiral, the containment fields won't hold against a full quantum cascade. We need to get someone inside to manually stabilize the core. The radiation levels would kill a human within minutes. Kivex observed. Yes, Sarah agreed, but not an Arcturian. Your crystalline structure can withstand the quantum flux. With your permission, Admiral, I'll coordinate from here while you... No. Kivex's interruption was sharp. You will accompany me. If you wish to command, you must first understand what you're asking of others. Sarah didn't hesitate. Yes, Admiral. The journey to Research Lab Delta was a blur of crystalline corridors and emergency lighting. Kivex's form flowed beside her, occasionally extending energy tendrils to interface with the station's systems. Sarah's radiation suit felt clumsy in comparison to the Admiral's natural abilities. The suit will give you approximately 4 minutes, Kivex informed her as they reached the lab entrance. After that, even its shielding will fail. Are you certain you wish to proceed? Sarah checked her equipment one last time. With respect, Admiral, stop testing me and let's save our station. For the first time, she felt something like genuine amusement in Kivex's mental voice. Perhaps there is hope for your species after all. The next 4 minutes were a masterclass in human-alien cooperation. Kivex's energy form interfaced directly with the quantum fold equipment, while Sarah's smaller, more flexible form allowed her to reach control panels and junction boxes the Admiral couldn't. They worked in near-perfect sync, Sarah's intuitive understanding of emergency protocols complementing Kivex's vast technical knowledge. With seconds to spare, they stabilized the quantum core. As emergency teams moved in to secure the lab, Sarah noticed her radiation warning was well into the red zone. Her vision began to blur. Medical team to Lab Delta. Kivex's mental voice seemed distant now. And Commander Chen. Next time, perhaps mention that your suit was damaged before we entered. Sarah managed a weak smile. Wouldn't have changed anything, Admiral. Mission first. As consciousness faded, she heard Kivex's response. No, Commander. I suppose it wouldn't have. How terribly, admirably human of you. Sarah woke in the medical bay 3 days later, her body still tingling from the regenerative treatments. The crystalline walls pulsed with a soft, healing light, Arcturian medical technology at work. As her vision cleared, she found Admiral Kivex's imposing form beside her bed, their crystalline structure dimmed to a gentle glow. Your cellular degradation has been reversed, Kivex stated without preamble. Though I admit, human biology's resistance to quantum radiation is unexpected. Our models suggested you should have suffered far more damage. Disappointed. Sarah's voice was hoarse but steady. Intrigued, Kivex corrected. Your species continues to defy statistical probability. It is problematic. Before Sarah could respond, Kivex's form shifted, creating a privacy field around them. The ambient sounds of the medical bay faded to silence. What I'm about to share is classified at the highest levels. Kivex's mental voice was unusually grave. Your actions in the lab have accelerated certain timelines. Perhaps that is for the best. Holographic images materialized between them. Star charts, tactical displays, and what appeared to be temporal anomaly readings. Sarah's military training kicked in as she processed the information. These patterns, she said slowly, they're not random, are they? Something's coming. Not something. Someone. Kivex's form pulsed with dark energy. We call them the Void Walkers. They exist in the spaces between realities, feeding on the quantum potential of entire civilizations. My people encountered them millennia ago. We barely survived. Sarah sat up straighter, ignoring the protest from her healing body. And now they're heading toward human space. Not just human space, this entire sector, but humanity. Kivex paused, their crystalline structure refracting light in complex patterns. Humanity presents a unique variable. Your species adapts at a rate that defies conventional evolution. You develop connections, strategies, and solutions that more advanced races would never consider. That's why you've been pushing us so hard, Sarah realized. The simulations, the stress tests, even allowing humans to serve under alien command. It's all preparation. The Voidwalkers cannot be defeated through superior technology alone. We tried that. Failed. Kivex's mental voice carried centuries of weight. They adapt, consume, learn. But they've never encountered anything quite like humans. Sarah processed this information, her mind racing. How long do we have? Based on current projections, 6 months, maybe less. Kivex gestured, expanding one of the tactical displays. The quantum fold accident wasn't entirely unexpected. We've been pushing boundaries, searching for new weapons, new defenses. The Arcturian High Command believes our best chance lies in combining our technology with human unpredictability. And what do you believe, Admiral? Kivex was silent for a long moment. I believe that I have watched 347 species fall to the Voidwalkers. I believe that the traditional methods of warfare are useless against an enemy that exists in multiple realities simultaneously. And I believe. They paused, their form shifting uncertainly. I believe that I have never seen any species face certain death with such stubborn determination as humans do. Sarah swung her legs off the bed, standing despite the room's slight spin. Then let's put that stubborn determination to work. You've been testing us, pushing us to our limits. Now it's time to tell us why. Let us help. The risk is already here, Sarah interrupted. You want human unpredictability. Start by trusting us with the truth. My crew, every human on this station, deserves to know what they're training for. Kivex's form expanded slightly, their energy fields crackling. And if they run, if the knowledge of what's coming breaks their resolve. Sarah laughed, though there was no humor in it. Admiral, humanity faced nuclear annihilation, climate collapse, and our own worst impulses. We clawed our way to the stars through sheer bloody-mindedness. We don't run from fights. We run toward them, usually with half a plan and too much courage for our own good. For the first time, she felt something like respect in Kivex's mental touch. Very well, Commander. Assemble the human contingent in 2 hours. It's time they understood the true nature of their service here. As Sarah headed for the door, Kivex added, And Commander, that tendency to run toward danger with insufficient planning. We need to discuss your decision to enter a radioactive environment in a damaged suit. Sarah turned back, a slight smile on her face. All due respect, Admiral, but there wasn't time for a committee meeting. Sometimes you have to trust your gut. Humans and their digestive intuition. Kivex's mental tone carried a hint of what might have been affection. Go. Prepare your people. The real training begins now. Walking through the crystalline corridors, Sarah felt the weight of what was coming settle onto her shoulders. But mixed with that weight was a fierce determination. The Voidwalkers had never faced humanity before. Maybe that was exactly what the universe needed. The briefing room erupted into chaos the moment Sarah finished explaining the situation. 200 human crew members, from engineers to tactical officers, all processing the existence of a multidimensional threat that had consumed entire civilizations. You're telling us these Voidwalkers can just appear anywhere? Lieutenant Park from Engineering demanded. How do we fight something like that? That's exactly why we're here, Sarah replied, her voice cutting through the noise. Our unpredictability, our ability to innovate under pressure, it's what the Arcturians need. Before she could continue, the station's alert system blared to life. Kivex's mental voice resonated through everyone's minds simultaneously. Multiple quantum breaches detected. This is not a drill. All personnel to battle stations. Sarah's blood ran cold. They're early. The command center was a blur of activity when she arrived. Kivex stood at the center, their crystalline form pulsing with dark energy as they interfaced with the station's systems. Holographic displays showed reality itself tearing open at multiple points around Nexus 7. Status report. Sarah barked, falling into her role despite the unprecedented nature of their enemy. 6 quantum ruptures detected. A Triaxian officer responded. Energy signatures match historical records of Voidwalker incursions. They're testing our defenses. Through the transparent walls of the command center, Sarah watched as patches of space turned inside out. The void between stars darkened impossibly, taking on shapes that hurt to look at directly. Traditional sensors couldn't track them, but the human crew had learned to trust their instincts about where to look. They're not just testing. Kivex's mental voice was tense. They're hunting. These are scout forms, seeking weaknesses in local spacetime. Sarah studied the tactical display, her mind racing. Something about the pattern. They're not random breaches. Look at the configuration. They're creating a containment grid. They're trying to isolate us from normal space. Kivex's form shifted in what she'd learned was surprise. Impossible. That strategy wasn't used until their third wave in the Arcturian conflict. They cannot have adapted so quickly unless they've been watching us. Sarah finished. Learning. Admiral, permission to implement Protocol Omega. Protocol Omega was theoretical, a last resort strategy they'd developed during the past month's intensive training. Kivex had called it precisely the kind of insane gambit only humans would conceive. The risk is better than certain death. Sarah cut in. She turned to her crew. Listen up. Engineering teams, redirect all power to the quantum fold generators. Security, arm the modified probe launchers. Medical, prepare for possible reality displacement syndrome. The human crew moved with practiced efficiency, their month of brutal training paying off. Sarah felt Kivex's approval as they watched the humans integrate seamlessly with the alien technology. Admiral, Sarah continued, we need your people to stabilize the station's quantum field. What we're about to do, it's going to get bumpy. Kivex's form expanded, energy tendrils connecting to multiple control systems. Explain this strategy to the non-human crew, Commander. Quickly. Sarah activated the station-wide comm. All personnel, this is Commander Chen. We're about to intentionally destabilize our quantum fold generators. Yes, you heard that correctly. The Voidwalkers exist between realities, so we're going to give them too many realities to process. Through the viewport, the dark shapes were getting closer, their non-Euclidean geometries warping the space around them. Sarah's head ached just looking at them, but she forced herself to focus. Engineering reports ready. Lieutenant Park's voice came over the comm. Though I feel obligated to point out this is technically impossible. Noted, Sarah replied. Stand by for execution. Admiral. Kivex's mental touch carried a mix of concern and what might have been pride. Humans, always finding new ways to break the laws of physics. Proceed. Sarah took a deep breath. Execute Protocol Omega. Now, the next few moments were pure chaos. The quantum fold generators, instead of creating controlled tiers in spacetime, began generating thousands of microscopic reality fluctuations. Each one was harmless alone, but together they created a quantum storm that even the Voidwalkers couldn't ignore. Through the viewport, Sarah watched as the dark entities recoiled from the maelstrom of competing realities. It was like watching oil droplets scatter on water, except the water was the fabric of space-time itself. Energy spike. Someone shouted. The quantum field is becoming unstable. Hold position. Sarah ordered, even as reality seemed to blur around them. Keep the field contained. We just need to. She never finished the sentence. One of the Voidwalkers, instead of retreating, surged forward. Reality screamed as it made contact with the station's quantum field. Sarah felt Kivex's mental cry of alarm as the creature began to feed. Power levels critical. We're losing containment. No, Sarah muttered, watching the readings. No, this is what we wanted. She raised her voice. Engineering, full power to Section 7. Give it something to choke on. The gambit worked. The Voidwalker, eager to consume the station's energy, drew in too much quantum potential at once. Like a predator choking on prey too large to swallow, it began to distort, its impossible geometry folding in on itself. All void walkers showing similar patterns, the sensor officer reported. They're retreating. Sarah felt rather than saw Kivex move beside her. The Admiral's crystalline form was dimmed from the energy expenditure, but their mental voice was strong. In all our encounters, we never considered overwhelming them with quantum potential. It was too dangerous, too unpredictable. Sometimes, Sarah managed a tired smile. Unpredictable is exactly what you need. The all-clear signal sounded, but Sarah knew this was just the beginning. The Void Walkers would be back, and they would have learned from this encounter. But so would humanity. So would Nexus 7. Admiral, she said quietly, I think it's time we started sharing this defense strategy with other stations. We're going to need every crazy human idea we can get. Kivex's response carried something that sounded remarkably like hope. Indeed, Commander. Indeed we will. 2 weeks after the Void Walker incident, Nexus 7 hummed with a new kind of energy. The crystalline corridors now housed a mix of species working together with unprecedented cooperation, all focused on preparing for the battles to come. Sarah stood in what the human crew had dubbed the Reality Lab, watching as human engineers worked alongside Arcturian scientists. The quantum fold technology that had nearly destroyed the station was now being refined into a weapon, guided by human intuition and alien expertise. Your people continue to surprise me. Kivex's mental voice carried a warmth that would have been unthinkable a month ago. The Admiral's crystalline form shifted, creating intricate patterns as they observed a human engineer suggesting an unconventional modification to an Arcturian device. That's kind of our specialty, Sarah replied, reviewing the latest test results. Though I have to admit, having access to advanced alien technology helps. Technology alone is meaningless without the vision to use it properly. Kivex interfaced with a nearby console, bringing up reports from other stations. The defense strategy you developed is being implemented across 12 sectors. The Arcturian High Command is impressed. Sarah noted the slight pause. But they are also concerned. Your species' tendency to take calculated risks with reality-altering technology is unsettling to many of my people. Calculated risks are better than certain annihilation, Sarah pointed out. The Void Walkers proved they can adapt to traditional tactics. We need to stay unpredictable. A commotion from the lab drew their attention. Lieutenant Park was excitedly explaining something to a group of Arcturian scientists, his hands moving animatedly as he spoke. Admiral, Commander, he called out when he noticed them. We've had a breakthrough. Remember how the quantum field affected the Void Walkers? Well, what if we could weaponize that effect? Not just defensively, but as a way to actively hunt them. Kivex's form rippled with interest. Explain. Park pulled up a holographic model. We've been thinking about this wrong. We don't need to fight them in our reality. We need to fight them in the spaces between realities. Using modified quantum fold generators, we could create what we're calling reality depth charges. Sarah watched as the simulation played out, showing how the proposed weapons would work. It was exactly the kind of impossible, brilliant idea that characterized humanity's approach to problems. The energy requirements would be enormous, Kivex observed. Yes, Park agreed, but we've been working with the Triaxian engineers on a solution. Their plasma containment technology, combined with our quantum field modifications. As Park continued his explanation, Sarah felt a subtle shift in the room's atmosphere. The aliens weren't just tolerating human ideas anymore. They were actively engaging with them, building upon them. This was what real cooperation looked like. Commander Chen, Kivex's mental voice was private now, meant for her alone. Walk with me. They left the lab, moving through the station's corridors. Human and alien crew members nodded respectfully as they passed, the old barriers of species and rank giving way to a new kind of unity. I have received new orders from High Command, Kavek said as they reached the observation deck. The vast expanse of space stretched before them, beautiful and terrifying in its possibilities. They want to expand this program, create more joint human-alien command structures, more integrated research teams. That's good news, Sarah said cautiously, sensing there was more. They want you to help establish the training protocols. Kavex's form shifted, creating a mirror-like surface that reflected the starfield. Your experience here, your understanding of how to bridge the gap between our species, it's valuable. Sarah absorbed this. You're not just talking about military training, are you? No. The Void Walkers forced us to acknowledge something my people have long denied. We cannot face the universe's challenges alone. No species can. Humanity's greatest strength isn't your adaptability or your creativity, though those are remarkable. It's your ability to take different perspectives, different approaches, and forge them into something new. And sometimes break reality in the process, Sarah added with a slight smile. Indeed. Kavex's mental tone carried genuine amusement. The question is, Commander, are you prepared to help shape this new future? It will not be easy. Many on both sides resist change, fear the unknown. Sarah looked out at the stars, thinking of how far they'd come in just a few months. From suspicious allies to genuine partners, from theory to tested combat strategy. The unknown is where humanity does our best work, Admiral. And we're pretty good at dealing with resistance too. Yes, Kavex agreed, their form brightening. You certainly are. An alert chimed softly. Another quantum anomaly detected, but distant this time. Sarah knew there would be many more battles ahead. The Void Walkers would return, stronger and smarter. But they would face something unprecedented. A unified front of species working together, combining the best of their abilities and knowledge. Admiral, Sarah said, straightening her uniform. Shall we get back to work? We've got a lot of impossible things to accomplish. Kavex's response carried all the weight of their shared experiences, all the promise of what was to come. Lead the way, Commander. Lead the way. As they headed back to the lab, Sarah reflected on how far they'd come. Humans had reached for the stars dreaming of adventure, discovery, and challenge. They'd found all of that and more. They'd found partners who could help them become something greater than they'd imagined. The Void Walkers thought they were hunting prey. Instead, they had catalyzed an evolution in interspecies cooperation that would change the course of galactic history. And it had all started here, on a crystalline station where human determination met alien wisdom and forged something new. The future was uncertain, but Sarah knew one thing for sure. It would be anything but boring.